The Varadi believed humans were soft, their flesh bruised easily. Their bones snapped under pressures that a Varadi cub could endure without complaint. They lacked claws, fangs, armored scales, or venomous glands. By every measurable standard, they were prey animals who had somehow clawed their way into the stars through sheer, stubborn accident. And yet, when the Galactic Council needed someone to train the next generation of Varadi warriors, creatures born with razor teeth and killing instincts coded into their very cells, they sent a human. They sent Kalen. The training compound on Vorix Prime was a brutal place. Massive stone walls rose 50 feet high, carved from volcanic rock that still radiated heat from the planet's molten core. Iron beams crisscrossed the ceiling like the bones of some ancient beast. The floor was deliberately uneven, cracked and jagged, designed to toughen the paws of young warriors. No soft surfaces existed here. No comfort. The air hung thick with the musk of 40 young Varadi cubs, each one standing nearly 4 feet tall despite being only 6 cycles old. Their scales shimmered in shades of obsidian and crimson. Their golden eyes tracked movement with predatory precision. Kalen walked among them without fear. She was tall for a human woman, nearly 6 feet, with dark skin weathered by a dozen different suns and eyes the color of burnt copper. A jagged scar ran from her left temple to her jaw, a souvenir from a Crethean blade that had missed her throat by inches. Another scar wrapped around her forearm, a memento from a Thessian war beast she had killed with her bare hands during the frontier campaigns. She wore no armor, carried no weapon. Her only tools were her voice, her presence, and decades of experience breaking creatures far more dangerous than children. Before Vorix Prime, she had trained soldiers on 17 worlds. She had walked into pit fights and walked out carrying the severed head of the reigning champion. She had survived 3 assassination attempts, 2 ship explosions, and 1 orbital drop without a functioning parachute. The Galactic Council did not send her because she was available. They sent her because she was the only human alive who had never failed a training assignment. The cubs watched her with a mixture of curiosity and contempt. They had been told stories of human weakness. They had seen the vids of human soldiers falling in battle, bleeding out from wounds that would barely slow a Varadi adult. To them, Kalen was a joke, a test, perhaps, from the elders to see if they could smell weakness. One cub smelled it more than the others. Vash. Vash was the largest of the clutch, his scales darker than midnight, his fangs already longer than his littermates. He was the son of a war alpha, born with the blood of conquerors singing in his veins. His father had slaughtered 100 enemies in single combat. His mother had led the siege of Korath Station. Vash carried their legacy like a weight upon his shoulders, a constant pressure to prove himself worthy of his bloodline. From the moment Kalen had entered the compound, Vash had watched her with barely concealed hunger. Not the hunger of appetite, the hunger of dominance. The need to prove himself. To show that no soft-skinned alien could command him. On the 3rd day, during a formation drill, Vash made his move. Kalen was correcting a smaller cub's stance, her back half turned to the group. Vash saw the opening. His muscles coiled, his claws extended. In a blur of black scales, he lunged, not at her throat, not at her spine, but at her hand. A warning bite, a challenge, a statement that said, "You are not my alpha." His fangs sank into the flesh between her thumb and forefinger. Blood welled immediately, bright and red, dripping onto the stone floor. The copper scent filled the air, triggering something primal in every cub present. The compound went silent. 40 cubs held their breath, waiting for the human to scream, to cry, to crumble. Waiting for proof that their instincts were correct, that this creature was prey, and prey could be broken. Kalen did not scream. She did not pull away. She looked down at Vash, at his golden eyes blazing with triumph, at his jaws locked around her hand, and she smiled. That it was not a kind smile. "Enough," she said. The word was quiet, calm. It carried no anger, no fear, no pain. It carried something far worse, authority. That Vash's instincts screamed at him to release, to submit, to bare his throat and beg forgiveness. But his pride held him frozen, his fangs still buried in her flesh, his mind caught between the need to dominate and the sudden, terrifying certainty that he had made a catastrophic mistake. Kalen's free hand moved, not fast, deliberately slow, so every cub could see. She reached down and placed her palm against the top of Vash's skull, her fingers splaying across his scales with almost gentle pressure. Then, without breaking eye contact, she pushed out Vash's legs buckled that he fought it. Every fiber of his being fought it. He was a War Alpha's son. He had never submitted to anyone. His ancestors would curse his name. His father would disown him. He would rather die than kneel before a human. But Kaylin did not give him the choice. Her arm did not tremble. Her gaze did not waver. She pressed him down, 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 not with strength alone, but with something deeper. Something that existed beyond muscle and bone. Something that spoke to the ancient predator brain buried in every Varadi's skull. This is an alpha. This is something that does not break. This is something that will not stop. Vash's chest hit the stone. His jaws released her hand. A whimper, high and thin and utterly humiliating, escaped his throat. Kaylin held him there for 3 heartbeats. Then she released him and stepped back. Blood still dripped from her wounded hand. She did not bandage it, did not acknowledge it. She simply looked at the assembled cubs with those burning copper eyes and spoke again. "I am not here because I am stronger than you," she said. "I am here because I do not break. I do not yield. I do not stop. You can bite me. You can claw me. You can try to kill me in my sleep. And I will still be here the next morning, teaching you how to become warriors." She paused, letting the words settle into their young minds. That is what makes a human dangerous. Not our claws, not our fangs, our will. She turned back to the formation drill as if nothing had happened. Again, from the beginning. Vash never challenged her again. In the cycles that followed, he became her most devoted student, the first to arrive, the last to leave, the one who defended her name when older Varadi questioned why a human led their young. When asked why, he would bare his neck in the gesture of deepest respect and say only, "She showed me what an alpha truly is." Years later, when Vash became a War Alpha himself, one of the greatest in Varadi history, he kept a single human object in his personal quarters, a small cloth bandage, stained with old, dried blood, a reminder that strength was not the absence of wounds, it was refusing to let them stop you.